The agenda. We need motion to approve the presented agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. On to presentations. Mrs. Fulton.
So tonight you're going to hear from two awesome educators from our building. They're going to be highlighting some areas. They spend a lot of time here. They wear a lot of hats. And so I thought it'd be awesome for them just to come and kind of update the board on some of the things that they're doing. But I want to recognize them. Had a lot of success, a lot of growth in both programs, as you'll see in their presentations. So I just want to honor them tonight. First off with Mrs. Becky Fulton. I want to honor her tonight. That was a great job and all she's doing. And Miss Emma Taylor as well. So I'll get out of the way and let them share.
Okay. My presentation, I've also printed off because there's some testimonials from students in it, but I'm not going to spend too much time reading every word of, and I wanted you guys to have the opportunity to be able to read those at your own time.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, as Mr. Purdue said, my name is Becky Fulton. I teach a lot of things, but primarily the education professions pathway. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the pathway and what we're doing and the direction we're kind of going with that, along with FCCLA, which is Family Career Community Leaders of America. It's the club as well that goes along with it, but they go very much hand in hand. So that's where my focus is going to lie. So my pathway consists of 3 classes, starting with Principles of Teaching, which is just kind of an overview of education as a whole. We study the makeup of a school as well as the history of education, highlight just like the beginnings of different child development type, psychology type things. And then the second class moves into child and adolescent development, where we go a lot deeper into understanding the physical, the emotional, the social, and the cognitive development of children as a whole. That's usually a class 2 that their first experience really getting into the elementary. For that page down here, we went into a kindergarten class and we did a Grinch day close to Christmas and got to interact with a kindergarten classroom planning various activities. And then the final class of the pathway is teaching and learning. We unofficially call that cadet teaching. It is where the students are able to go to the elementary 4 days a week and actually serve 2 class periods in the elementary. And we try really hard to match up their interest level for what grade level they lean towards with a classroom teacher that would love to have them in there. So, and then I kind of got ahead of myself there. Child development, you can see there's the real care babies. We do that throughout the second class as well. And that little tiny classroom up there comes out of the Principles of Teaching. We're actually doing that right now. So watch social media. I'll be posting those projects when it's all said and done. That's just learning about different early childhood classrooms. Here's a testimonial from one of the classroom supervising teachers that we work with, Amanda Fields. Ever since I have started in this program, she has always had a cadet teacher in her classroom, and she said, "I truly enjoy hosting a cadet teacher in my classroom each year. I look forward to helping prepare a student for their future role as an educator. The cadet teachers are an asset to my classroom by helping give more one-on-one time to students who need extra support or who need enrichment. They often have creative ways to make learning time fun, but also educational." So very similar feedback that I get from most of the classroom teachers. So it's just great all around. It's great for the elementary students. It's great for our cadet teaching students to get that hands-on experience even before going to college. And an extra set of hands in the classroom for the elementary teachers as well. So it benefits everyone. Okay, so now to tie FCCLA to my pathway. FCCLA is an organization that highlights actually many different pathways. I primarily obviously focus into the education and training, but this past let's see, at the end of February, I took 13 students to the state conference where they competed. This is our second year going, and I have some stats about that here soon. Let me come back to that. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead a little bit, but we had 5 gold medals in state projects, 5 silver medals in state projects, and 2 bronze medals in state projects. So it is pretty awesome for the school our size. And what is a state project? The state projects, we have various rubrics that I embed into the curriculum of the education professions pathway. And so these are students that now have taken those projects and competed at the state level. There's another category called STAR events. Those are the projects that can actually go on to nationals. And what's really awesome is we had 3 students that qualified for nationals, which is another yay Wes-Del, and those students are Amelia Roberts, Mackenzie McFalls, and Logan Fulton. And all 3 of them hope to move on and go to Orlando, Florida this summer to be able to compete. So that's really exciting thing on our front here. So this is, like I said, why I printed it off to look a little further. I'm not going to read everything on this page. But FCCLA is huge to our students. And what's really cool, yes, it goes hand in hand with my pathway. I'm getting more and more students from my pathway to participate in that. But also students who maybe that doesn't fit in their schedule quite yet too, and they are going and competing in other areas for different careers like interior design and hospitality and performing well in those areas. So it's very cool. So deal a lot with leadership development, as well as community service and enrichment, and they're able to network with other students and future careers that they may be interested in. Okay. So this is what I printed off as well too, but I wanted to highlight a few of the things. I asked the students who went to the state conference to just give me some feedback on what they got out of it. And so one thing that like Abby Jackson said, she says, I know I will be attending the FCCLA conference next year. My goal is to keep striving to really impact others and be a positive influence that guides greatness and success. Lauren, she's a student that's actually in my pathway, and she said, I learned that I can do things I never thought I could. I put myself down because I have a disability, but going has opened my eyes, and I can do anything if I put my whole effort into what I'm working on. I think it was so powerful. It's been awesome watching her grow. Mackenzie, who's a senior, she competed in the STAR event, and she's one of the ones that is hopeful to go to nationals this year. She partnered with Amelia placing first, and so it's been able to, last year she was a runner-up for a national qualifier, so it was awesome to see those goals were met this year. DeKayla, another one of my cadet teachers. From being in FCCLA, I learned how to be a leader and help others. I learned to step out of my comfort zone, try new things, and talk to new people. I feel better about myself after doing these things. As a student, I've had all throughout high school, and at the beginning, she was afraid to get up in front and talk to anybody, and it's awesome to see where she's grown. Amelia, I am beyond excited to be going to nationals with Mackenzie and showcase our projects, like I brought up with Mackenzie. Carmen, who I actually have here tonight, she said, I end up getting closer to people like the group, talking to people that she maybe normally didn't in school, which was really cool. I wouldn't have imagined hanging out with. FCCLA has helped me become a more social person, and it has opened up more opportunities for me, so I'm very glad I joined. She's hopeful. She did a state project this year, and she's hopeful to compete in a STAR event next year, so that which she will now have to stand in front of judges. So we're going to be working on that, and I'm really excited for that for her. I just have 2 more. And then Kylan, at some point, she really focused in our social media of our whole club. She runs that, so that's what some of her things are about. But then at some points, doing and presenting the project was stressful, but it gave me a thicker skin. I have struggled with getting critiques, but after I felt so much better about receiving them. The judges are only helping me succeed next year. And then Logan, who is my son, said that I think that doing this conference helped me develop as a student leader by teaching me presenting skills and how to lead well. He did the job interview category, so that's what he's going to be able to compete at the national level. So here's all of them that went. And then here's kind of highlighting our 3 students that hope to move on to nationals, which you might be hearing up in coming meetings as I'm getting the things finalized for that. So anybody have any questions about that? Hope you can kind of see how that goes hand in hand with my pathway. I love this pathway, near and dear to my heart. It's great for students to get the hands-on experience in high school, and I just love that we have that here at Wes-Del. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you. And next up, we have Ms. Taylor.
Hi. No, you're fine. I'm Emma Taylor. I'm the theater teacher and director here at Wes-Del. This is my 4th year running our theater program. It has come a long way over 4 years, a longer way than I had initially expected, to be honest. So I'm just going to highlight some of the things of like where we started, where we are now, what we're hoping for in the future, and some of the improvements that have gone on in our theater program and in the auditorium itself. So fall 2021 is my first year teaching, and we didn't really have an established theater or drama club program in our school. It was kind of almost underground, I guess you could say. When I asked the students about what they knew about theater or their experiences in theater, nobody really knew anything, and nobody really had an outlet to really explore it. So fall 2021, our drama club and theater enrollment was 7 students. So that means I had 7 students in our one theater arts class, and I also had the same 7 students in the after-school drama club. So that's where we started. We were somehow miraculously were able to put on a show that semester, and it was the kids' first opportunity of actually being a part of the design process. So that's something that I like to highlight the most in the theater program, is the kids really like to be a part of that design process, and I think it helps them develop other skills in other areas. We've collaborated with lots of different teachers in the school, like engineering, the family consumer sciences, Santino's classes and construction, Miss Stanley's classes with marketing and art. We've collaborated with a lot of the teachers in the school, and I think that's kind of brought people in. So after fall 2021, we had decided, you know what, we're going to do a musical for the first time in 30 years. We're going to attempt it. And I think our growth also started there because originally the drama club was only for 9th through 12th grade students. So spring 2022, I had decided to open it up 6th through 12th, and we got 40 students enrolled in the drama club and a part of the theater arts classes, part of that. So after that, our growth continued. Fall 2022, we had over 60 students a part of the drama club and theater arts class. I think that year I had about 28 students in the theater arts class, and then we had an additional other group of students that were in the drama club. Some are kind of a part of both. But this is kind of when we decided we're going to increase our production value. We're going to put more money into putting high quality performances that other schools would be jealous to see. So we got a lot of audience engagement from our fall 2022 show, Almost Maine. And we also made some improvements in the auditorium the previous year, but especially that year. Spring 2023 was when we brought Mrs. Fulton on board with us. Huge help. We had over 80 students involved in that production and 20 additional students that worked on painting the set, designing the set, putting it together. So we had about 100 students involved in that production, which was really, really cool and something that we did not anticipate.
You had 2 shows, correct?
Yes, so we had double casted that show, meaning we had so many talented students in our school that we had to do 2 casts. So we had 4 total performances, 2 different casts. It was very stressful, but it was a really cool thing. We sold out every show, which I don't know if that's ever happened before, but it was a really cool experience. So this is kind of where we are now. These are our last 3 productions that we have put on. We just finished Peter and the Starcatcher in fall 2024. I think we had between 50, 60, the numbers fluctuate depending on the show title. But we had The Outsiders, fall 2023, Percy Jackson, spring 2024. We try to do themes with the kids, and they really like that. So last year's theme was teen book adaptations. This year our theme is home, so they kind of explore design elements of home, scenic design elements of home. What does it mean to be at home? And I think for a lot of these kids, theater has become a home for them within the school. And it's really cool because we have so many different students involved in our productions. We have athletes, we have students that are only involved in theater, we have band kids, we have choir kids, we have esports kids. We have a nice mix of our group. But we're continuing to enhance our productions. One thing I tried to emphasize with the kids is our production value. So we have specifically chosen really popular and high demand shows that other schools are trying to get the licensing rights to. So whenever you purchase the rights to a show, it's like thousands of dollars. So all of that money we gain from our revenue from ticket sales. And so I specifically pick shows that I know the kids are going to want to do because they're more likely to sell it. And other kids from other schools are more likely to come because they know they're not going to get another chance to see that show. Another way that we have enhanced our productions, besides some of our technical elements that I'll touch on in a second, is early enrollment. So I mentioned before that I had opened it to 6th through 12th grade, but now we kind of see ourselves as a drama club that's more K through 12th grade. So we invite all grade levels. Last year, I had challenged my theater arts classes to work more closely with our elementary school students in Wes-Del. So they were adapting in my theater arts class children's books into short plays, and then they performed them at the elementary school. We've had a summer theater camp this year for our students and students outside of Wes-Del. So kids from Yorktown, Delta, Muncie Central, they come to our school for the summer theater program that we offer for elementary school kids. So those are just some of the ways that we have enhanced our productions over time. We're getting better. The kids' skills are getting better with lighting, with design, building. So those are all things that I touch on in my theater arts class, and then they kind of refine those skills after school in drama club. So here are some of the improvements that we have made to the auditorium over the last 4 years. We are extremely thankful for it's so much better. I can't even stress. When I first got hired, we were operating our lights on an iPad that often locked itself out and the lights would shut down. We had electrical problems with our lighting system. We have a new full light board and sound board, and we have replaced 2 racks of our LED lighting system. So we have 2 full racks of replaced LED fixtures, which means that we probably have newer equipment compared to other schools in our area. We have also updated our audio equipment, so we have a state-of-the-art soundboard. We have installed 4 handheld mics and 8 wireless mics, which has been extremely helpful. And we've also done some paint renovations. We got the auditorium got a nice little paint job a few years ago, which has helped make it look a little bit nicer. But these are some of the renovations that we have done in the auditorium. We want to keep pouring love into that space and maintaining that space because it's become a home for so many kids that are a part of our school. So some things that we have just kind of had discussions of, like, what we're hoping to raise towards eventually is with so many kids in our program, we have learned we have a need for more audio equipment. So moving on in the future, we'll look towards exploring that, but that's kind of something that we're hoping to add into the future. We've also, I forgot to mention, added a new projector and a new projection system. So anyone who comes into the auditorium, whether it's for a meeting or some kind of presentation, they can go into that space, know that they have updated projection equipment in there. So that's where we were. This is where we're headed. These are just some pictures from some past productions. They're kind of funny to look at, like, out of context, but so this year, actually next week, the Drama Club will be taking a trip to New York City. So we will be taking, I think, 18 kids, 22 people total, but around there. Yeah, 15 to 18 kids are going to be, some of them for the first time, going on an airplane, and they're going to be spending a week in New York City. They're going to be doing Broadway workshops, learning stage combat. They're going to be talking to Broadway directors, designers, social media marketing people. That's an aspect of theater that a lot of our students have gravitated towards, is the marketing aspect. It's a unit that I teach in my theater arts class, as well as how do you market yourself, how do you sell a product. And so they're going to be doing that. They're going to see 3 Broadway shows. Some other things that we are doing as we move forward. our school has recently, in the last year, been accepted into the International Thespian Society, which means that our school is now recognized as an official theater troupe and can compete at the national and like regional level. So our students, if they choose to compete, can win scholarships and other opportunities to colleges that have those fields, if they choose to do so. So, sorry, just a few more. This is some of the things that our community says about the Wes-Del Theater program. I won't read all of them, but I'll read a few. Someone said, nobody in Muncie does it quite like Wes-Del. Their performances and professionalism are above and beyond any local high schools in the area. My family goes to all their shows multiple times. They are that good. Another person said, I have been to IRT a lot. We have been season ticket holders at Muncie Civic Theater for quite some time. Wes-Del shows would rival performances that I have seen either of those places where there are professional actors and amateurs who many have a long background in theater. In all of my years teaching and attending school plays, I have never witnessed a play with the quality as what we all saw tonight. So these are just some quotes from our community, but we're very proud of the Wes-Del program. We have put so much love into it. And time and energy, and I think it's really paying off, and it's really exciting to see kids that I've had since the 8th grade and where they are now as juniors or seniors in high school. And before we go, we would like to invite you to our next performance, which is Fiddler on the Roof. It opens April 11th, and I have some invitations for all of you. You've probably heard of it before. It is a classic.
Thank you.
It is also, for our theater program, the largest group of seniors that we have had that will be graduating as what we call Wes-Del Theater alumni. It's our largest group, so they're very excited for this production, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reagan, you're up.
Literacy is next. Mrs. Whiter, if those slides going. But we do want to thank Mrs. Fulton and her students, cadet teachers, because our students and staff alike always look forward to the cadet teachers, and it's a really good program for everybody. So we thank you for that. As we transition to literacy now at the elementary school, I'll introduce Mrs. Kelly Weiner. She is our reading specialist and our literacy coach, which means that she helps kids that need extra help with reading, and she helps teachers implement some of the new guidelines from the state on teaching reading. So if you've ever heard this presentation before, you know I'm going to start with teaching kids to read is the single most important thing we do at the elementary school. There are many important things that we do, but nothing is more important than teaching kids how to read. We pride ourselves on early intervention, so catching the students when they're very young. If they're going to have issues, we're going to know about it. We do focus on instructional practices that are guided in the science of reading, which you've probably heard that term quite a bit now as it's in legislation. And our goal is to equip every student with the knowledge and skills to be a successful reader when they head up here to the middle school. No one slips through the cracks because we're small enough that we can catch them, and we have enough staff members. We have a hand on everybody. Legislation now with iRead that you've probably heard a little bit about. All of our teachers are required to get 80 additional hours in coursework and take a licensure test, and they're required to do that on their own time. There is compensation. It does rival that of fast food establishments as far as pay goes. So a lot of time outside of the teaching day is put into that, and that's quite a requirement to put on our teachers. But everybody's in the works for that. We do now give the iRead test in grade 2. It used to just be a 3rd grade thing. We give it in grade 2. Now you can take it up to 2 times in 2nd grade, and of course we give it in grade 3, where students can take it up to 3 times. There are exemptions to the new retention law that came out that said if you don't pass iRead, then you must be retained in 3rd grade. Exemptions would include students that have an IEP, that are English language learners, or if they've been retained 2 times already. So that's quite a little bit of pressure for 7 and 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds to pass a test or know that they're going to be retained. That is no longer a local decision, so that was taken away from parents and administrators and teachers this year, which was interesting, but we don't have a say in that. If they don't pass the test, they're not going on, regardless of what a parent wants or a teacher wants. We have taken our first round this year, and in 3rd grade we have 89% of our total student population in 3rd grade has passed, with 98% of those who have to pass, in other words, who don't have an exemption, have passed. The rest have not passed yet, but we have 2 more attempts that we're going to be doing in May, and then after a short summer school session in June. In 2nd grade this year, 59% of the class is either on track, which means they're within a certain number of points, or they passed. So that we were very pleased with all of those numbers, and continue to look forward to the retake to see how many more we can get through.
Okay. Well, that's you too.
Oh, that's me too.
Can I ask
So
a question
science-
back on that page? So if they pass
Yep.
in 2nd grade,
Once
is
you
that get them
pass, you never
through?
take it
Okay.
again. Yeah,
Okay.
good question. So science of reading is something that we've been implementing for several years. Mrs. Weidinger has been helping us out quite a bit with that with different PLCs, bringing in best practices that teachers can use. We've done book studies as a staff. She has helped bring in different interventions. And we even piloted several different things, Boost Reading, which is an online learning platform, and we piloted a textbook series this year. We are in the Indiana Literacy Cadre. This is actually our 2nd year in that, and that is something that schools can opt into to get more assistance, more resources, coaching, etc. from the state level. If you have a 70% or lower rate on your iRead pass rate, you get to be in the cadre, but we chose to be in it, and we've seen a lot of nice things from that. Okay, so year 2 in the cadre. Again, basically, they're giving us resources to Kelly, especially that she passes on to the teachers. This is year 2, kind of a school-wide win time. It's for year 3 overall that we've been doing it in some grade levels. But in our K through 3, we do that win time, which is just focused in on what students need based on assessments, based on what we're doing in the classroom with Mrs. Weidinger. And we're able to focus in on that time on different interactive read-alouds, vocabulary, comprehension strategies, and a school-wide writing program that's called Writing Revolution. So bottom line is students get what they need during that time.
Ready? Mr. Reagan mentioned that we were in the literacy cadre, and just to kind of give you a snapshot of what that means, Mr. Reagan and I attend bi-monthly asynchronous and synchronous virtual trainings that the literacy cadre hosts, and so we don't have to leave the building, but you have to zoom in on your computer. I'm required to deliver professional development, and we have a focus in our building that we plan together that we need, so we work on that, but then I also relay the information that the cadre provides us. And then this has been a really cool part when Mr. Reagan introduced or shared the iRead results. As soon as they walk in our building, that's when they start learning how to read. And really, we miss from birth to age 5 for so many kids, and that's when so much of their language development takes place. And so I'm super proud of our staff and being willing to, I've been teaching for 26 years and I've learned a ton of new stuff. And they are all willing to learn and try these new things and invest in all of this. And so it's really, truly like a pre-K to 3rd grade effort to get our students to pass. And the only gen ed students that didn't pass in our building, we didn't have them, they were move-ins. So that kind of attests to show you that our K to 2 teachers are a big part of that and our whole team effort that we've done. So that bullet point about analyzing data in win time, we meet, Mr. Mealy came one time to one of our meetings and was like, what is happening? But we all meet and we share, we look at the data, we look at it before we come, we look at it when we're there, and we do this about every quarter, sometimes more frequently, so that we can move them around, so it's flexible and we meet their needs. I co-teach I'm required to co-teach. They use a student-centered coaching model, so it's not like I'm here to go and make a teacher better. The teacher and I are working together to help the students. So it's all student-centered. So we look at the students' needs. We decide what they need. The new practices that we're learning, we implement. We learn and grow together. I learn tons of stuff. I'm really fortunate because I get to go, throughout the whole building. And I have learned so many things. Your students are in awesome hands with our staff. So we're all learning and growing together. The excitement is super awesome. It's almost overwhelming to me how much interaction and collaboration that our elementary staff does, where I'm in cohort with other coaches, and there's like 200 in our cohort too, but we have a small group. and it's just not like that everywhere, because we have small group meetings and stuff, and I always sing praises to Wes-Del's staff and Mr. Reagan for facilitating it for us. So we collaborate, we do best practices. This is just something no one really probably understands, but I don't like this part at all. But it kind of gives you an idea of how much is happening. There's like I have to put in all this data every month, because Eli Lilly is a part of the funding of the cadre, and so understandably there's a research project. They want to know what their money's doing and if it's working. And so I have to document everything that happens, like every planning, co-teaching, data analysis. I have to meet with Mr. Reagan so many times. Anyhow, so there's 261 that I put in so far this year, coaching actions, and I don't get everything in there. But it just kind of goes to show you, like, this involved, all of those involved myself and a teacher. And so that's just so much collaboration that's taking place, and we're just better when we work together. So that's what it means to be in the literacy cadre. I won't miss doing that part, but we have grown a lot from that, I think. And so I love this stuff. It's my hobby. I'm empty nester, so I need something to do. And I literally just geek out about this all the time, so it might not be interesting to you, but the first probably decade or so that I taught 4th, 5th, and 3rd grade. And I literally did not have any idea what to do if a student didn't know how to read. And so that's kind of what put me on my journey to figure this out. And so we didn't learn the way that we know now in our teacher prep programs, and even in our graduate programs, we didn't learn that. And so that's why I think it is a good thing that they had to make it a law to get it to happen. But it is very structured, it's systematic, it's explicit. We teach everything explicitly. We use a model of I do, we do, you do. So we don't just tell them what to do, we show them, we guide them, we teach them. And so they learn explicitly and systematically. And so that's one thing that I've noticed since we've started this is I've always worked with struggling students who have learned helplessness. They learn not to try because it's so hard. If I had to go sit and do chemistry all day, I wouldn't probably try either. But so it's very hard, but we don't have that now. So we have given them skills and strategies, and we teach them what to do. And so even if they're struggling and it's harder for them, they still attempt and try, and that's what's really cool about this process. So I won't bore you too much, but this is a less than 2-minute video that kind of explains how we learn to read. It's not natural. Another law that Indiana has is a dyslexia screening law, because dyslexia is like, it's not necessarily like this autism, but it is a continuum. And so 1 in 5 will fall on it. It's genetic. And your brain is most ripe to learn to read. Well, really even before kindergarten, but in that K-2 realm, if we miss the window, it's more difficult for someone who's going to have trouble reading. And so this kind of shows how your brain is wired to read, and why this K-2 time period is so critical for us to do the right things. Uh-oh. I'm glad you're here.
Hold on a second. There you go.
Thank you.
Another helpful theoretical model for the reading process is Scarborough's reading rope, which expands upon the
Hold on. Let me turn mine down to like 2. Yep. It's gonna yell at me. it doesn't start until that point.
Another helpful theoretical model for the reading process is Scarborough's reading rope, which expands upon the simple view of reading. Scarborough's reading rope provides a meaningful visual representation of the process by which decoding, or word recognition, and language comprehension subskills are combined during skillful reading. The decoding subskills are each assigned a strand in the rope: phonological awareness, decoding and spelling, and sight recognition. Under language comprehension, we need to build these reading subskills: background knowledge, vocabulary knowledge, language structures, verbal reasoning, and literacy knowledge. Think of these subskills as strands in the reading rope that become stronger and stronger the more tightly the strands are woven together. As the language comprehension subskills grow and get stronger, the reader becomes increasingly strategic in their reading. At the same time, as the reader strengthens their decoding subskills, they're becoming more automatic in their reading. With increasingly strategic and increasingly automatic reading, skilled reading occurs and the reader can comprehend text. Skilled reading appears to be effortless, but a skilled reader has fortified the subskills of the reading rope in order to manage the skills simultaneously and automatically, resulting in reading comprehension.
So, how we teach reading, I wanted to show that video just to kind of give you an idea to see the rope, the two sides. So this side, we have a block of time that we do word recognition, and in K-2, that is explicit systematic phonics and also phonemic awareness, which is, for instance, if I said, tell me the sounds in cat, we need you to be able to say cat, so that way later you can match letters to those sounds. And so we have a block of time that instruction takes place, and it's cumulative and it spirals, so it becomes very automatic for our students. And then in our 3 to 5 grades, we are just getting started and it's going really well. We teach morphology. And so a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound, and a morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning. And so morphology is really complex and it's really cool and interesting. An example would be like prefixes and suffixes. And so, but we also are now teaching that systematically and explicitly. And it's really interesting. I work in a first grade wind time, and 2 weeks ago, the little boy, we did all these things to be able to read the decodable book, and he started reading, and he goes, I can read now. And then I was gone for a week giving iRead testing, and then yesterday I went back in there, and he said, remember, I'm the one who can read. So it's super exciting for them, even though like if you come in, it might seem, this is very dull, but it is exciting for them because they're having fun because they're learning to read. And then the other side of the rope, that language development side in the video, we call our knowledge block. And so in order to know things, you have to know things, I guess. So knowledge sticks to knowledge. It's like Velcro. And so like my kids were fortunate that we were able to go on vacations and do things, but we have kids who those kind of life experiences don't happen for them, and so therefore it's kind of foreign to think their normal is not like our normal, and so it's harder to comprehend things if you don't have any background knowledge and the vocabulary. And so the knowledge block, the shift in the science of reading, is that we are content rich with science and social studies content and things like that, but we're developing that, and we're kind of ahead of the game in a sense because the curriculums are catching up to what we've already started. And so that's the second block of instruction that our students receive. And then we have win time, which is what I need time. And our teachers were super awesome too. They really, literally anything I suggest, they're like, okay, let's try it. And that just makes it so fun for me. But so we do win time. We piloted it in K-2, and we do it in third grade this year too. And so Mr. Reagan's going to talk about that next. And we have their pictures because I really want you to see the faces of everyone, because it's quite an ordeal to, like in first grade, we move them around in less than 5 minutes. There's 3 teachers and they move all around. I go in and co-teach with a teacher. Mrs. Doherty takes some kids out. One teacher is doing like enrichment things. One teacher is working on levels. So I'm going to let Mr. Reagan take it from here.
I don't know how much more I can say about win time necessarily.
That's
but-
a phonics program too. Yeah.
It's exactly, as Mrs. Whitinger described. And so the nice thing about it too is when she said that all the moving parts, we're moving kids around and we're pulling in every available staff member. And she can just scroll through the slides real quick so you can see who works. So that's the kindergarten team, which is the teachers, but also we have aides that push in. We have our speech language pathologist. In first grade, again, you'll see a big crew there. We pull in Mrs. Doherty as well. Sometimes we split aides between grade levels. Our librarian comes into play, our special education teacher. So basically, if we see you in the hallway during that time, we're going to give you a group of kids because everybody is put to work, and same thing up through grade 3. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to coordinate all that. So I credit Mrs. Whitinger and our teachers for making that happen, and honestly making it happen seamlessly. Move 75-year-olds around and see what that's like and do it in less than 5 minutes is really pretty impressive.
And I'll just kind of sum up this with the knowledge block is this highlighted strand. It's basically developing their language comprehension before they can read. So an example would be the kindergarten teachers, we work together to develop a unit on Arctic or polar animals. So we had the Arctic and the Antarctic. So fun to get to go in and co-teach with them, and they are hilarious, and they remember these big words. We called them nose words. When you hear them, when we're reading them to you, want you to touch your nose. And I went back in the next day, and one little girl, every time I said a word from the day before, she was touching her nose. And they're speaking them, and they're talking them, but obviously they can't, most of them would not be able to write or read them yet. But so we're simultaneously developing their knowledge, vocabulary, and background while they're learning how to read. So I think you're next. Yeah.
And so that's really kind of, we have all these pieces in place, but you'll see a recommendation in your packet for later for an adoption for reading this year, which basically we want to focus on that knowledge building portion. And so the text is kind of, in the old days, you got a textbook and a workbook and all these, it's not quite like that now. We have all of these other pieces in place. We're just looking to strengthen the knowledge block. And so that's what that recommendation will be for later. Really to bring in a lot of rich material that students can read, make connections. It's different content areas. Realistically, in an elementary school, you're going to have to pull your science and social studies into your reading time because we do that a lot of the day. And so it's really getting those kinds of materials in the hands of kids. But that's kind of what literacy looks like at the elementary. That's a big picture of what reading looks like and some updates on legislation. And I'll be back again in a couple of months to talk about the updated pass rates on the IRE test.
Thank you.
And I'll say my normal phrase, if you presented, you do not have to stay for the whole meeting if you would not like to. So now's your chance to sneak out as we transition in, but we want to
But
thank
thank
everyone.
you very much
Yes.
because it's wonderful to hear about the programs going on and what the kids are doing and how they're growing. So I appreciate everybody's efforts.
I hope you can make it to the production.
Yes.
I know the kids are working really, we're actually going to rehearsal, so.
Thank you. Uh-huh. All right. Okay, moving on to consent agenda items. We've got claims. Any questions on claims?
I had a couple. On the first one there, it was late, but I sent you bank charges on the February 28th, 147.
Yeah, it's a late fee that due to weather, a payment on the Visa card was received late. They were able to waive the interest, but they couldn't waive the fee.
Okay. I didn't know if it tied in with our banking, and that's the reason why I was asking.
No, it was just a late. Usually we can get them to waive both the fees and the interest on that, but this time they were only able to waive the interest.
It's happened to me, so I understand.
Okay.
The second one was, it had been the March 13th, Daniel Hansen, $513. Can you explain a little bit on that one there for me?
The principal has a budget item for mileage reimbursement. So when they're reimbursed 50 cents per mile which is the state rate, and he's allowed to use that money. So it's actually in Adam's budget, but if Daniel goes to a conference and drives and uses his fuel, we reimburse him for that time. So if he takes that, he gives it to Adam, and Adam says, yes, I want this to come out of my mileage budget, then we reimburse him for that.
Was that a certain conference or something? Because when you say 50 cents a mile, that's 200.
It may be a combination of a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this
So-
stood out to me for
Yeah.
the amount there.
So what they'll do is they might just hold on to a lot of those, and the State Board of Accounts will ask for their mileage
Mhm.
and the forms to be collected, and then they might submit that to Adam in one bundle,
One
and then
bundle.
we make
Okay.
that
He's
payment.
saying it was for the whole year, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that was it for myself.
Any other questions? All right. Do we need to, there's no motion on that, right?
You'll do that as.
Okay, at that- sorry.
Good.
It's been a long day. All right, we've got the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read through the minutes?
Yes.
Any questions on those? All right, on to personnel. Have you had a chance to look through all of those recommendations? Any comments or questions? All right, so moving on, we would need a motion to, motion for consent to items A through C.
I make a motion for items A through C to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is consent agenda is approved. All right, moving on to old business, we've got legal counsel.
You should have all of the documents, new proposals presented to you, along with a legal counsel summary sheet. Each firm gave you an amended proposal, so I can entertain any questions on those.
Any questions, comments? Ready to make a motion to choose one?
I make a motion to select DW and A for our legal counsel. Is there a second?
I'd like to try the DeFal.
Wait, so that motion
That's
is not-
what that is.
It's got-
Defer,
Yeah,
that's what that is?
Yeah, that's what that is. She abbreviated, right?
There's a DWA.
No, I did
No.
DWA.
Yeah, there's a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She said
I'm sorry.
DWA.
Yeah.
So
I'd
you
like a
just,
motion to approve DeFal Vereen for
Well,
legal
you-
counsel.
Well, we've gotta
you've
get
got a
through this
motion for
first.
one.
So do we have a motion
Oh, I-
to second her motion to approve Dennis Winder and April?
I'm sorry, I didn't think that went anywhere.
So, okay, so that is, did not
Table
pass.
for-
So we'll entertain your,
I'll
we need a
motion
motion.
to approve.
I confused you.
Defer Vereen for legal counsel.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That will pass. All right, moving on to new business, the reading adoption elementary.
1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Catch up.
He's catching it up.
I didn't hear how you voted. How did you vote? Did you vote aye?
Oh, I don't know that I need to vote.
I know.
Okay,
just aye.
yeah, that's fine. Aye. All right, new business, reading, adoption, elementary.
Have a proposal in there and just saw a presentation, but your proposal there from Mr. Reagan.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it is passed. Moving on to reports, we've got the
Well,
superintendent.
if you
sorry.
refresh, the donation should actually be up into new business. There's a donation from the Williams family that needs to be approved. It's a $200 donation for a Lahodi meal, I believe, for the FBLA.
Let me refresh. Oh, sorry, I did not refresh from earlier. Okay, so we need to, a motion to approve the donation for the Lahodi meal for the FBLA.
Motion to approve the donation from the Williams family.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, donation is approved. Now, reports.
Superintendent's report this month, baseball and softball update. As you can see, the project is making good headway now in the weather. They're hoping for a punch out walk next week. So they've got a lot of work still to do, but they've got a full crew out there. We'll see if we make that. That is to take place next Thursday. If you look out there, you can see they have painted. They've got the stairs up, windows are in, roofing's all taken care of. They've got the good weather now. I don't know what's going to happen with the wind. It might take a break on the painting, but they should be working on everything else. So still hoping to have that done. Hopefully as soon as next week if they can. It'll be muddy out there, obviously, with all of the weather that we're going to get and the fact that they're grading all that. But they did get on quite a bit this week in the last week and a half.
Kyle, with those being, updated, modified, are there lights that are involved in the upgrades?
No.
For nights? No lights?
No, the money that we had left over would have only paid for lights. So, collection relining project update. The only thing I had was I know that Mr. Malco went to a meeting today, so I'll let him speak on that if he wants to.
It took 2 hours to get to us, to get to that point there, the meeting there. Received very well, voted 5-0 to appropriate. The cost is going to be probably around $10,000 for the upgrade on the feasibility study for the sewage line from Wes-Del to the high school. All we're doing right now, we're just applying for a forgivable loan program. And we'll get the results, should be sometime in mid-July. And then we'll go from there. But that's the only thing we're approving for right now.
Some legislative things to look at. Senate Bill 8 is moving forward. You want to keep your eye on that. That's referendums that will only be allowed to take place in a general election. Again, this board at some point will have to start looking at their options when it comes to their tax dollars, the revenue, property tax revenue coming in, and their operations accounts. So that's something to keep your eye on. Not that you will run a referendum, just that your opportunities to do so will be really limited if you ever get to that point. Senate Bill 9 is going to cap the MLGQ, which are maximum levy growth quotient, and it's going to create even a new formula possibly. And you'll want to keep your eye on that. That's going to really impact your overall budgeting and your ability to fund your accounts. And then the last one I think you need to keep an eye on is Senate Bill 146, which is going to raise the minimum to $45,000 for teachers. And it's going to raise your education fund spending on teachers' salaries and benefits from 62% to 65%, which in a district our size, a 3% increase in your education fund on salaries and benefits is a pretty substantial increase. Remember, that's only on teachers. It's not on administrators. So you're going to have to look at that as you're going into a bargaining year. The board calendar is in there for you. Some good news to talk about. We were able, Mrs. Townsend was there as president. We finished our State Board of Accounts audit. with minor issues, no major issues. They always have to find something. The issues that they found were pretty minor. They were here since November. They spent both Thanksgiving and Christmas with us, so we were glad to have them, but glad to see them go at the same time. So that's always a plus when that audit is completed. And then I just had that the FCCLA, the 3 students, Amelia Hudson Roberts, Mackenzie McFalls, and Logan Fulton, with some good news. And then I have one final piece that I want to submit to the president, and I'd like to read this to the board. It's with deep gratitude that I submit my resignation as superintendent of Wes-Del Community Schools effective March 28th, 2025. This was a bittersweet decision, as I truly love Wes-Del Community Schools and deeply appreciate the students, staff, and community members who supported our efforts over the last 15 years. Wes-Del is a special place, and what makes it so special are the individuals, the friendships that have been formed, and they'll last a lifetime. My wife, Courtney, and I are extremely grateful for the teachers, coaches, staff, and administrators who have positively impacted our children's lives. Wes-Del is a family-centered school district, and we will forever cherish the educators and community members who have made this our home for the past 15 years. We want to specifically thank the incredible team of administrators, the teachers, Sharon Fowler and Teresa Weitzel, and the board members who have become our warrior family. Together, we've celebrated success and embraced challenges. We've experienced victories and setbacks, good days and difficult ones, but the good has far outweighed the bad. Our family has grown alongside our warrior family, and we will always treasure the moments and memories. I want to especially thank my wife, Courtney, who has been my strongest support system and most trusted confidant. To my son, Grayson, and my daughter, Charlie, you've shown grace and resilience in ways few will ever understand. It has not always been easy, but you have always made us proud. I've given my best to this role, knowing that the true impact comes from those who step into the arena, those who commit themselves fully to the work of shaping the future. I leave with immense gratitude for the opportunity to serve, the friendships I've formed, and the lessons that I've learned along the way. Thank you for trusting me to serve in various roles and for allowing me the privilege of leading the district over the last 7 years. Once a warrior, always a warrior. I would ask the board to please act on this tonight.
I mean, I think do we have to have a motion on this? We need a motion to accept this resignation of Mr. Mealy as superintendent.
I'll motion to approve, to accept his resignation.
Second, we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want a
can't go
discussion?
against the gentleman's wishes, that that's what he's choosing to do.
I would appreciate that.
So, I unfortunately caught by surprise. You've done a really good service over the years. Unfortunately, to hear this and be sprung on us, but I mean, I don't know.
Those opposed? Carrie, I think you've got to vote one way or the other.
Is that what you want?
Yes. Appreciate my time here. I think it's time.
Thank you. Aye.
Well, the motion has been passed. We're very sad to see this happen. Appreciate everything you've done for the whole time you've been here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to board comments. Larry, you want to start us off?
I'd like to thank everybody for showing up and the teachers that come in and made their presentation. And Kyle, I'm sad to see you go. I appreciate everything you've done for the school and for me, and I hope things work out the best for you.
Thank you. Appreciate working with you.
I saw something posted, and I thought it was very neat because it was one thing I would like to have seen, but it's already been done. But I'd like to be involved if possible. It was the College and Career Fair Day, April 24th, and just seeing who to contact, who to get with to help out.
Ashley Williams, Chamber of Commerce, and the Indiana Teen Works, Indiana Eastern Teen Works.
I saw that, but obviously there's got to be coordination taking place here at the school, so I just didn't know how that worked out.
We're hosting.
Right.
And we chose to host because the field house, it was originally at the Muncie Field House, but because of their parking issues this year and because of another date, we are holding it this year and then it'll go back to the field house. So Ashley Williams and they are coordinating with all
Coordinate the whole thing,
all
so
the,
everything
all
goes
the work,
through them.
Yeah, all of the careers, all the colleges are going through them.
Is that Ashley from Hillcroft, or I got the wrong person?
It's Ashley Williams at the Muncie Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Muncie Chamber. And then one last thing, just seeing if we can get it approved, but it's the credit card through Thrive. We really like to get that going just so they can get signed off, because it's going to take probably another 3 weeks or so before they can be able to process everything, or maybe a month or so. And Yorktown and Muncie Central has already processed theirs.
Okay.
Is that in addition to?
Whatever
Or
they want to
separate?
do is fine, but it's just get it to signed off so that way they can proceed and start the program. Wherever the money goes at, that's up to what you guys want to decide on.
Josh, you and I want to work on, we'll get that.
Yep.
Take care of that. We'll get tomorrow. Try to get together, get them a form or whatever they need signed.
It's just the sign off is all
Okay.
I need, and
We'll get
that's
that.
it.
Okay.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you all for coming. It was great presentations. It's something to be proud of with Wes-Del. It's always positive. It just amazes me every time we have a meeting that there's good presentations to see how involved and how we are growing. So thank you for putting that together and bringing it more to our attention. So thank you.
Just to piggyback off that, I mean, obviously the elementary's doing great over there with the iRead. I know we had, I don't know how many students in here last year that aced it, so that's awesome. And I know mine was super excited to not have to take it again this year, so I think that's a good thing. So they're getting them used to the testing young over there as well, so it's not such a crutch for them to be scared to do. But Kyle, I hate to see you go. Obviously started here with you, and thanks for all your work over the years.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for coming. To again piggyback on what they said about the programs and just the gains that the students have made over the years. I mean, the theater program, I didn't realize there was only 7 students when we went to that first show, but it's pretty amazing to have such a strong program there. Again, just the reading going on. There's just so many great things going on here at Wes-Del. A lot of it's due to your leadership and the team that you have together. So we do appreciate everybody's efforts on this. And again, it was really sad to see you go.
Thank you.
With that, we would need a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are closed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.